all those good juices in your gut and in your mind, now they're all flowing. And so whatever it is that you're putting into your body will now receive differently as well.
Girl, you've got questions. Questions about your body and how to feel good in it, about your hormones and how to keep them in check. Questions about your sex life and your whole health. Can you imagine having a best girlfriend who was also a triple board certified OBGYN? A girlfriend doctor you could call and ask or tell her anything. Someone who could show you how to live any stage of life, before, during, or after menopause, in a big, bold, and beautiful way. Well, friends, I'm your girlfriend doctor. I believe you are meant to flourish and shine, to embrace life and awaken to all its possibilities. Let's get there together. Welcome to our show. Food is medicine, food is energy. And beyond the ingredients that we put into our cooking, there certainly is the ingredient of love. There's the ingredient of hate. There's the ingredient of irritation, resentment. Whatever we're bringing to what we do, we bring a certain energy with that. And this has been, I know, y'all, this sounds woo-woo to you, maybe not, but let me tell you, if you've been around long enough, you can pretty much attest to this truth. And when we say absolutely that the same thing we cooked one day is completely different when we bring a different mood or energy to it the next day, we know it's true. There's something to it. And you can tell when something's been prepared for you with love. For sure you can. And I think this is an important discussion. It's an important topic. And it's so important that recently I met a lovely woman, celebrity chef, Serena Poon. And she brings energy into her culinary creations, as well as her coaching and her nutritional therapy and everything that she does. And she has a beautiful story to share. And so when I met her, I knew that I had to introduce her to all of you in my girlfriend doctor community. So she's incredibly special, and I can't wait for you to meet her. So here we go. Let me introduce you. Serena, it is so good to have you here on the Girlfriend Doctor Show. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited. So thank you for allowing me to share space with your audience.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I would tell my audience that I fell in love with Serena when we were in Boston together. We were at a Da Vinci 50 longevity medicine, longevity health conference. And so Serena just has this energy about her, this glow. And I was just like, oh, connect. And plus she talks about food alchemy and energy work. And it's just like, okay, I got to bring you on my show. So it's so good to have you here.
Oh, I'm so grateful. I know it was so much fun and just so much synergy when we met. It was such a that was a really beautiful group and just like a beautiful week that we had together. So I'm so grateful.
Yes, me too. Well, tell us a little bit about your background, how you got into like food alchemy and the energy work that you do and how you combine the two.
Yeah, it's funny because I know it seems so unlikely that a classically trained chef, would become a Reiki master as well. And of course, the nutrition aspect of it makes sense because I'm already working with food. But my journey actually started with my parents. So both my parents had cancer when they were very young, in their 40s. So my daddy had cancer, got cancer, and it was a blood disease for him. His grandpa had the same thing, but he was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer in his 40s at about 46, and fought very hard for a little over a year. And he transitioned at 48. And then 2 months after he passed, our mom was diagnosed with a really rare form of ovarian cancer at 45. And so she had a full hysterectomy. She did chemo and radiation. It was a bit experimental, to be honest, because there was only 20 some odd case studies of her exact same cancer before that. So my journey, and truly the passion that still drives me, is just was rooted in that experience in just kind of watching my parents and being caretakers to them, navigating those two experiences, and then and realizing that in their journey, even though they did, kind of traditional allopathic medicine, but also some Chinese teas and a little bit of Chinese medicine, that there was so much that we didn't understand when it came to food as medicine and nutrition and alternative sort of types of medicine beyond just Chinese, just plants and herbs and different ways that we could have supported their journey and their bodies. And so that's really what had me dive into holistic nutrition and just trying to understand what options that we had during that time. And then just, food is always, my daddy was a foodie, I'm a foodie. And so the kitchen was sort of always the center of our household, no matter what we were, there could be a gathering of, 80 people and tables and chairs are spread out all through the house, but really everyone's standing in the kitchen eating. Uh,
I love that. I grew up
so
the same way. The kitchen was the
yeah,
heart of the house.
it absolutely is, and it's because food is more than just fuel. Food is love, food is connection, food is medicine, food is all the things. And so I decided I would go to culinary school to study food as medicine, to learn the culinary arts, to present food in this way where it could be beautiful, not just to look at, but also beautiful to our senses and also to our bodies
Serena, how did
nutritionally.
your mom do? Did she survive the
She's still
ovarian
with us.
cancer? She's still with
She's
us. That's
still
so
with us.
good. Okay.
Yeah, no, she is still with us. And
Ovarian cancer is so sneaky. Honestly, it is one of the silent cancers that
yeah,
until you really don't become symptomatic until it's quite far along. And so that's
yeah,
always the challenge as gynecologists and obstetricians in diagnosing ovarian cancer, as well as treating it,
yeah.
treating it.
Yeah, so it was interesting because with my mama's cancer, it was so aggressive. And what had happened was we had all lost so much weight when my dad was at his sickest. And obviously we weren't taking care of ourselves, which is sort of a big theme to what I do now, and just really supporting your body and self-care, because as caretakers we tend to not care for ourselves. And so she had lost so much weight that when she finally went in for her annual exam after my daddy had passed, they literally felt a lump. They felt the tumor, just from an examination on an abdominal examination, just from the outside. And then from that point to when she finally had the surgery to remove everything, maybe a 2-month period had passed, and that it was so aggressive, it had already grown quite a bit in that sort of 2-month wait from that examination to finally to the surgery. And so they kind of dated back from the size of the tumor and how fast it was growing to when my dad was sickest and when he was dying. So not kind of connecting that at the time, just what stress can do to our
It is
body.
so true. I mean, stress it creates inflammation, it creates cancer,
Yeah.
it lets cortisol, like the bad robber, out of the gate or out of prison. And just it's a challenge. It's such a challenge. And the fact that you're, they were able to diagnose it early, you
Oh,
know,
it's a blessing. And I think our daddy, was just her guardian angel and just made sure that she wasn't going to go anywhere. I truly believe that. And so I think it's kind of a combination of all of that, but her angels, her guardian angel. And so she's still with us, and thriving, doing really well. But that's really kind of how my journey began. And as we talk about the what stress can do to our body, I obviously wasn't, as attuned and in tune with my body then as I am now, and didn't have as much awareness and knowledge as I do now. And so the levels of stress and inflammation in my body ended up in my own health journey. So I had my own, damaged tissue that had to be removed in what was supposed to be a very simple surgery. And from that surgery, I got MRSA, which is a deadly staph infection, pretty much straight from the OR. And then that became my journey for another 7 more surgeries over the next 8 years. And it was during that journey that I ended up doing kind of, I wouldn't say diving in, because I had already was sort of in the space of exploring energy and just meditation, mindfulness, spirituality. But after my fourth surgery, I had a massive hematoma about 12 days post-op, almost died. And from that experience, I really dived into, healing work, energy work with a master energy healer that I was connected to by one of my best girlfriends whose family saw her in person in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I just talked to her over the phone. But she really, I just felt that, okay, I know what to do physically. I know how to do physical fitness and maintain my body in that way. I know what to put in my body. I know much better now, but I know what to put in my body in terms of nutrition and pre-op and post-op. And yet there's still issues within my body. What am I missing? And so I decided to commit to my spiritual sort of development, and which is kind of mindset and also personal growth. But there's a lot, it's really energy work and working on your energy centers, your chakras. And that's what she did with me for about 8, 9 months. And I kept getting better and better and better. And after about 9 months, she said, okay, you're ready. And I thought, okay, I'm ready for what? Right. And she said, I want you to come see me. And I hadn't met her in person yet. She said, I want you to come see me in Santa Fe, and
So
I want
wait
to
one
teach
second,
you. Hmm.
backing up. So when you worked with her for those 8, 9 months, that was virtual, over the phone,
It
and
was over the phone.
what were those sessions like?
It's so interesting. Yeah. So those sessions would be, I'm just over the phone. I mean, she used like a rotary phone, and we'd get on the phone and we talked so minimally. I mean, I didn't really give her an update on much of anything. We just kind of connected on the phone. I might give her a couple little updates about my healing process, and then she'd say, okay, I'll call you when I'm done. And then and then after maybe an hour, hour and 15, hour and 20, sometimes hour and a half, she would call me back. And then we would go over what she called releases. We'd go over different, almost like energetic blocks and imbalances that she was releasing throughout my body. And it was so interesting. And it was sort of, her name was Noelle. It was sort of her method, her style of doing things. And as I was listening to what she was releasing in my energetic field, which seemed to correlate with how I was feeling physically, I thought, I wonder if I could support my body by adding in, doing specific foods that are supporting the areas where she felt that I had the most imbalances, or the most blocks per se, because that's where she had to do the most quote releases. So that was actually kind of how culinary alchemy birth was during that time. And I was just sort of experimenting, thinking, okay, I know what to eat for my physical body. I know what I need to do to bring my hemoglobin back up. But maybe if she's sensing I have imbalances or blocks in these areas, I wonder if I could support that, the work she's doing on me on my end, by eating certain foods that support those energy centers. So it was kind of experimental, but I really recovered quickly and well, and actually ended up building a whole part of my business that was just like consulting, because I couldn't even use the upper left side of my body for months, and I was a chef. And so it was sort of like, how am I going to support myself? And I realized I knew all this about nutrition that was just sort of packaged into the work I was doing with clients as a private chef and catering. And so that opened up my consulting practice, and I started to implement a little bit of this alchemy, this culinary alchemy, with some of my clients who were open and willing to try new things. And that became a big part of my practice. And when she invited me out, it took me a few months to actually go there, because I thought, wait, you're my healer, you're my master healer, I can't do what you do. It took me a few months for her to sort of convince me. And then I just thought, well, what do I have to lose? I'll go out there. And I went out to Santa Fe, and I stayed with her for the weekend. She's like, this 70-year-old little lady. She was so cute. And she taught me everything that she did. She taught me everything that she knew, and it was very much her style. But I didn't have any frame of reference. And so I came back a little overwhelmed. And I thought, I need something a little bit more tangible. I need like a manual or something, I need something more tangible. So that's when I decided to study Reiki. And so I took 1 year for each, I guess, uh,
Mastery level.
yeah, of Reiki. So I did Reiki 1, and then I spent a year doing that. Then I did Reiki 2 and spent a year doing that. So I spent several years before I kind of went to the mastery level. Some people, they'll just do it in weekend, but really it's experience. You have to do the work. You have to practice, on yourself and on other things to really sort of understand your connection and what you're doing. But I found that it really helped me understand energy and like the power of energy and how you can really intentionally direct energy to anything and sort of remove blocks or help heal or bring light and amplify what you're doing in a tangible way. And so
Yes.
that's sort of how I connect uh, Reiki with my I guess skills or experience when it comes to food education, cooking, and nutrition. It's
I
really
think,
that integration.
and that's one of the things I love about your platform too, and what you do, and also just how you show up in the world. Are cravings your downfall? This is truly typical of anyone trying to lose weight. Let me tell you, willpower is physiologic. Just like Francis discovered, the Keto Green Shake Mix is a tasty and nutritious way to replace a meal while helping you feel full longer and giving you the nourishment, vitamins, minerals, protein, fat that your body needs. So cut your cravings, boost your energy, and improve your overall fitness with the Keto Green Shake Mix. Find Keto Green Shake at dranna.com and use the code SHOW10 to get 10% off your first order risk-free. I want to dig a little deeper into Reiki
Sure.
because, and for our audience, Reiki, Reiki, if you haven't heard of it, it's an energy assessment and healing practice.
Mm,
And Serena will tell us more about it, but I'll just give you some background. As an OBGYN coming out of Emory, I mean, I didn't know anything about Reiki. And I had a patient early on, Dale. Dale came to my office and she goes, can I barter with you? I'm like, always open to barter, right? Like really willing to help in any way. And she's like, well, I'll do a Reiki therapy session on you. And so
wow.
when she did this Reiki set, I'm like, I didn't know what to, I hadn't time to study it. I didn't know what to expect. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I remember this vividly, she had her hands on my head and she's like, there's just frantic. It's just never stopping. It is just like,
Yeah.
constant thoughts, constant processing. I'm like, yeah, doesn't everyone, right? Isn't that normal? And just you got to calm way down, calm way down. And so it was really interesting that that's something she picked up on. And truthfully, it was out of my awareness at the time, decades ago. Then
Yeah.
when I went on my healing journey around the world, the doctor, Deborah Shepherd, I call her the angel doctor, God sent her. She took over my practice for a year on while I had my healing journey. And in that year, well, anyway, she had been a Reiki practitioner. And it's so amazing because she was so in line, like she, even though she knew that she would be taking over, like she was initially going to come and be my partner, but we had the trauma in our family and the loss of our son. And I was,
Mm,
not able
of
to
course.
practice. And so
No. Yeah.
she still came and
Yeah.
she took over my practice and so
Yeah.
she was just such this amazing healer. And I just was at a fundraiser and had in Atlanta and we got together again and connected. And I mean, that just reminds me, she's a Reiki master as an OBGYN, y'all. I mean, that is amazing. And that
Yeah.
really helped her being in tune with her, with healing. And she said
Yeah.
it's hard in OBGYN practice. She's in a large group. You get 5 to 10 minutes with a patient, but
Yeah.
coincidentally, at our table was an invited guest from one of my other guests, and her name is Hannah. And I said, "Well, Deborah Shep," I said, "We'll have these people at the table." And she goes, "Dr. Deborah Shepherd?" She goes, "Oh my gosh, that's my doctor." And she goes, "She
Oh,
saved me. She diagnosed my adrenal burnout." And Deb's like, it was just really beautiful to
yeah.
see that, and to see how it's an important energetically being connected allows the intuitive ability that we use in our medical practice or in whatever we're doing in life, coaching, consulting, to really connect with the other person. And I think that's a really huge um, skill and gift that we
Mhm.
should develop more. And I consider the
Yeah.
time of our second spring, post menopause, this time of our second spring, a a calling to really develop your intuition more, develop those giftings more, to become more energy sensitive to those around you. And so I want to dig a little bit more into this aspect, and then really talk about some of the techniques you use, and how that changes, how that's changed your life, but how it's changed your clients' lives and what you're
Oh,
doing
yeah.
now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you for sharing those stories. That's just beautiful. And I'm so happy to hear that you had the opportunity to experience it. Um, yourself, but then also to have been just to work with and just be around someone who can share how, again, as I said earlier, that it can really just enhance and elevate whatever it is that you're already doing. It's just sort of like from a different level. So whether you are a chef or a nutritionist, or you're a doctor or a nurse, or whatever it is that you do in the sense that's visible, right, to people, adding in this element of energy work, this practice, whether it's Reiki or, there's so many different sort of modalities and things that people do. It just elevates what you're doing in other aspects of your life.
And
So,
infusing into others, right? Because if we're
oh,
cooking with
100%.
love, that
Yes,
different
exactly.
meal is, there's a different meal than if we're cooking out of anger and spite, right?
Hmm.
It's a different meal. It's a different flavor. And,
Yeah.
y'all try that because it's true.
It's so funny because, and I love that you brought that up as an example. I often do. And when we say things like love is the secret ingredient, it's not so much cliche, but it's 100% true. And so if you're making a recipe that was handed down to you from your grandma for her apple pie, and you're following it to the T, everything is measured, you've triple checked, and you're doing exactly the way she's written it out. And for some reason, it just doesn't taste the same. It's not because she left something out. It's because there's just an energy that she brought to that in the process that she was making that recipe. And it's her love knowing where that food will land, where it's being delivered to. And that is that secret ingredient. And it'll taste different. It doesn't mean that without it tastes bad, it'll just taste different because that's her love that she's putting into that. And so, and yeah, and there's a practice that I teach my community, and it's about how you can do that. So, we can talk about
Oh,
Reiki
let's
for
do that.
yeah, you want to do that? Okay.
Yeah, for
So,
sure. Because,
okay, so
I'm
this
all
is super
about cooking
easy.
and keto
Oh,
green,
good.
and, really, again, cooking and, cooking and preparing your foods and
Yes.
eating your foods with gratitude and attitude of
Yes.
gratitude.
Yes. Okay. So this is super easy. For those of you who already have a gratitude practice, we're just going to take it like one step further, small step further. For those of you who don't yet have a gratitude practice, you can start anytime. And so let's say in the beginning, I don't know when you do your gratitude, I guess list or practice, and I start at the beginning of the day. So before I even wake up, this is when I go through my gratitude list, so to speak. And you can journal, or you can say it out loud, or you can say it in your head, however you do it. And I'm sure for most people, you kind of list a few things. So I'd like you to just pick one thing or two, but you only need to pick one or two It could be that person that you love, or your kids, or your fur baby, or maybe your grandma's apple pie, whatever it is. But pick one thing, tune into how it makes you feel. But then but I want you to do it and focus your energy and your attention on your love and your gratitude for that person or that thing until you have almost a physiological response to it. You can now smell them, you can smell that person. It feels like they're right next to you. You can feel their warmth, and you can sense their energy, and just breathe that in. Breathe in that deep, deep feeling of love and of gratitude. And then just like hold that. So now you know how that feels. There is a mental, emotional, and now physiological connection to that feeling. And we're going to take that feeling, and when we go into the kitchen and you're making your coffee or your tea, or maybe you're making lunch for the kids, whatever it is, as you're doing it, just tune back into that feeling, and with intention, send that feeling into the food that you're preparing or into the beverage that you're making, knowing that that is now going to go back into your own body or go into the body of the people that you love. So it will make a profound difference. And it sounds almost too simple. It's so simple. But you're not only putting yourself in and I can be busy in the morning, especially if you have kids, right? But you're taking this moment to shift your physical body from, say, a sympathetic state to a parasympathetic state. So now, all those good juices in your gut and in your mind, now they're all flowing. And so whatever it is that you're putting into your body will now receive differently as well. You'll get those nutrients and receive them in a way that you wouldn't have if you're kind of pounding that coffee in a stressed state. So it's a very simple practice, but give it a try and see how things taste, see how you feel from the exact same foods that you would and beverages that you would normally be doing anyway. And that's sort of a very simple practice.
I love it. It's watching your physiology shift. You're doing a feelingization, right? You're really
Mm-hmm.
feeling it. That changes the physiology. And with gratitude, love, feeling that
Mm-hmm.
emotion of and being in that space increases
Mm-hmm.
oxytocin,
Yes.
decreases cortisol. So you're going to
Yes.
see and feel that physiologic shift. And if you can do that,
Mm-hmm.
and oh my gosh, I love this. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's a discipline and a practice, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
To get into that state and bring it to your life in so
Awareness.
many
Yeah.
ways. Awareness,
Yeah.
that's good.
And the beautiful thing is, look, we're eating maybe not all day long, especially if you're fasting, but you have so many opportunities every single day. And if you forgot to do it with your morning coffee, that's okay. You can do it at lunch, you can do it at breakfast, you can do it at dinner, you can do it when you have a snack. You have so many opportunities to just say, okay, I'm just going to sit with this for one moment and connect to that feeling that I had this morning when I thought about the person or thing that I love so much that I could smell it, I could feel it, I could sense it, I could taste it, and just connect to that. And it will profoundly change your life.
I love that. Can you give us an example of someone you've worked with that when they integrated that, saw a shift?
Oh, oh yes. Okay, so I can't name a name because this person's a pretty high profile person, but we do it with meditation, and then we kind of transferred it also to the food that they were eating. So they're in the entertainment industry, and that pretty much got shut down as everybody else did during COVID, so during 2020. And I would say it was a pretty stressful thing for most people, and that industry continues to sort of have its struggles, um, obviously in terms of filming and movie releases and all of that. And they actually worked themselves up into a place where they were quite ill, not with COVID, but with something that was sort of pre-existing from decades ago. That with stress and inflammation, they brought it into their present space as kind of a serious condition. And really, all we did, we shifted a couple things in the diet, but really, all we did was implement some meditation and that mindfulness, that connecting the heart, connecting your energy with divine energy, which is really kind of what Reiki does. and then taking that opportunity for when you're putting something back into your body, whether it's just water, or they drink my just add water every day, or so it was easy to say every day that you're drinking just add water, this is when you do it, so they don't have to think about any other moment in the day, and just sitting with that feeling of love and gratitude, and I mean, it only took maybe about 2.5, 3 weeks that we really started to feel a shift. And this is someone that sort of operates in very high beta, and has been in a very high beta state. So for those of
So
you who don't,
meaning high stress, high
stress, high
level,
stress,
yeah.
yeah. So high stress, constantly anxious, constantly just there's just fire in their mind, and every day there's a fire, and kind of thinks that there's always going to be a problem, so then a problem is created. So this is just how this person has functioned, and then COVID happened. So imagine if this person functions like that pre-COVID. COVID really knocked them on their feet. So just and we really only started this practice because I don't want to say they were resistant to it. It just wasn't something that they were open to and could connect with. And because they were in such a stress, constantly high beta state, definitely didn't have time for. Then COVID happened. So it was sort of like, okay, I have time for this now, and I'll try anything to not be in this state. So we finally tried it, and it's completely shifted them. And I would say that by shifting their state and shifting their bodies and their mind and the chemical makeup of their body, not only have they been healthier than they've ever been, but now that things are opening back up, there's a lot that's happening in their professional career as well that has been very fruitful. So it's a beautiful thing in so many ways.
Yeah, no, that is so beautiful. And I love hearing that. I love hearing stories like that too. And I think that we are energetic beings. And
We
so this
are.
is where I am an Emory University trained. I am classically trained
Yeah.
OBGYN, right? But
Yeah.
because of what I've been through in my life, and plus I grew up with a very intuitive mom who had like
Mm.
ESP and just amazing ability to predict things, right? So
Mm.
that
Mm-hmm.
was normal for me, right? So
Yeah.
I've
Wow.
learned, from her intuitiveness, like there's more than what we can touch and see. And you have
Mm.
to trust that feeling and
Yeah.
how we're in control of how we feel.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's so powerful. Like I always tell my clients, you are the only one who can upset yourself. You're like, oh no, my
Mm-hmm.
husband can really piss me off. I'm like, no,
Mm-hmm.
you choose how to react and it's how you bring to it. But let me tell you, when you're stressed, and I get where your client was coming from, as I've been there,
Mm-hmm.
it's
We've all
like,
been there.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
like I just can't do one more thing. There's no way. You're in this negative energy spiral and it's really hard. So it becomes that constant discipline and where it
Mm-hmm.
becomes a walk, like every time you take a step, or like you said, when
Mm-hmm.
you're drinking your just add water, when you're, incorporating something, when you hear the water flow, or
Mm-hmm.
you sit in bed before you sit in bed for the night, before you eat, saying the
Mm-hmm.
practice of grace and gratitude before
Mm-hmm.
meals. All of these little triggers shift your physiology. And until I did
Completely.
that from my trauma, I
Mm-hmm.
was I was in a deadly spiral. I was in a deadly
Yeah.
spiral. And when you magnetize this positive energy, right? When you're
Mm-hmm.
doing these mindset shifts,
Mm-hmm.
prosperity manifest, and you
A hundred
also lead
percent.
people into this, financial prosperity. And that's
Yeah.
so important right now because people are losing their jobs or are not,
Mm-hmm.
at home in their bodies and
Yes.
feeling the financial stresses. And
Yeah.
I want you to, I would love for you, Serena, to
Mm-hmm.
give our audience that's a huge tip, like bringing this energy into our daily mindset and
Mm-hmm.
into our day in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's a powerful creates powerful transitions.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we are powerful beings. We just forget. I talk a lot, and I think more recently I've been uh, more vocal about it. It's just this reverence that we've forgotten to have reverence for our bodies and for ourselves. We get so obsessed with these, our devices and technology, and we think that these devices are just, and don't get me wrong, our devices are pretty convenient, and it's pretty incredible what we're able to do with them now. But our bodies, our bodies are actually the most complex, intricate, complicated machines, and we forget that. We forget how our bodies adjust and function and heal and roll with everything that happens. And we forget how incredible we are. So we put our power in the external when really our power comes from within. Our power, we are incredibly powerful beings, and we forget that. So sometimes we need those little reminders, and taking that moment of gratitude and grace is a reminder. And also, well, let's go back to, what was your original question again? Because I was going to teach something, and then I thought, let me make sure I answer her question first.
Oh, yeah, no, go ahead. I mean, that was about teaching that mindset for,
Yes.
prosperity. Yep.
Okay. So here's another little super easy tip that you can do. And it's the power of affirmations and thoughts, and mantras, for example. And you don't have to sit in this meditative state, to go through mantras. I go through them when I brush my teeth. I do mantras when I'm in the shower because, look, you're already going to brush your teeth and you're already going to take a shower. So it's what I call just, I stack. It's like your self-care stack. And so when you are doing your 2 minutes of brushing your teeth, or you're in the shower, instead of thinking about your schedule and all the things you need to do, and the phone call you didn't make yesterday that you've got to make today, and the emails that you didn't get back to, and all the things, right? Instead of thinking about those things, think empowered thoughts. Because that's what I do. And it'll, again, profoundly shift your life. You, instead of thinking that, think, I am powerful. I am powerful. I am productive. I am this, I'm that, all the things that either that you are or that you want to be. If you have an important meeting that day, then you tell yourself empowering thoughts. I am, you have a presentation. I am articulate. I am likable. I am beautiful. I am
I
whatever
show
it
up with
is.
love,
You
right?
show up with love. I mean, anything, but that's what you're going through. And you're telling yourself every single time you brush your teeth, every single time you take a shower. And that is how you're starting your day. And you're starting your day in this grounded, powerful place. So you're drawing in that energy. You don't need to go searching for that energy. You're just reconnecting with source. You're just connecting back to this powerful energy that connects all of us. And you're drawing that in. And then you're also rewiring your brain, because now every single time you go get in the shower, get in the water, go brush your teeth, like, it'll just click on, and you'll start to think these very empowering thoughts. And this is how you want to start your day. It's, again, super simple practice. It is almost so easy you think it won't work, and it will profoundly shift your life.
The
And this is
shift
how
in
you kind of call
energy.
it in.
Positive
Shifting your
energy,
thoughts.
positive energy. And it's more than like, I would say it's not woo-woo science, right? There's hard science
Yeah,
behind this now. And again, we are
100%.
energetic beings, and negative
Mm-hmm.
thoughts have a different energy than positive thoughts. So
Mm-hmm.
incorporating these positive thoughts, especially as women, we always seem to have this bitch on, I'll say, get that nasty bitch off your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because the negative thoughts that can come into our practice just can't be allowed there. They can't be allowed there. And bad things happen, right, in our lives, and traumatic things happen. So
Mm-hmm.
it's not dismissing that or
No.
lessening those things or the people that we've loved and honored in our lives, but it is shifting the energy so that we
Mm-hmm.
can be fully in our purpose, fully
Yes.
passionate, fully connected, fully contributing
Mm-hmm.
in life, so that we are showing up fully. We are showing up as our best selves, as we were designed
Yes.
um, and constructed to be. And so I
Yes.
think, and every step in our life has shaped us in one way or another, and has contributed to who we are today. And this energy work is really powerful. What's interesting is that I just um, made a realization that way back when, in 2006, when we were on our healing journey around the world, I,
Mm-hmm.
I consulted a Native American shaman.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I just wanted to die every day at that time. and
Mm-hmm.
and so I'd been referred to, her name is Maria, and
Mm-hmm.
she is a Native American shaman. I was in Colorado at the time, and she was in New York City, actually. She was in New
Mm-hmm.
York or somewhere in New York. And so it was very interesting because I can hear your adrenals screaming from here, she said. I was like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
okay, very interesting.
Uh-huh.
And then the other thing she said, because energetically she could tell that I was high sugar and high acid.
Mhm.
And it's so true. When you're under stress, cortisol is acidifying to your body. It also
Yes,
spikes your glucose. Plus, you're going to have
yes,
glucose cravings, carb
yes,
cravings,
100%.
and that certainly was what I was doing. And she goes, I hardly ever don't see cancer
Mhm.
in someone in your condition at this point. I mean,
Right,
that's stress, right?
right.
But I will tell you, with my connection that I just made today, and adding in our food alchemy, is that
Mm,
sugar and acid is the exact opposite of my plan, keto green, keto
mm,
alkaline, right?
mhm,
It's eliminating the sugar and getting
mhm,
alkaline. So,
mhm.
like, every step we learn from it, and we
Our journeys
often,
are designed that way. Yeah,
yeah.
100%.
Mhm. That's
It's
pretty
I think
powerful.
it's
It's
so
cool.
beautiful that you kind of like made that it just had that full circle realization. I mean, sometimes when you're in it, right? Like when you're in painful situation and it none of it makes sense and you can't see the other side of it. And I usually don't ask why. It was almost like a pact that I made with myself when my daddy was sick, that I would never ask why, because it's just like it's a question that can never be answered, and it just keeps you on the sort of hamster wheel. But sometimes that does happen. You kind of get into the why. And and what I believe is that every part of our journey not only is meant for us, but it's an opportunity to learn and then to teach. So when you're kind of in it, and it's really easy to kind of fall into this victim mentality when something very painful, or is you're going through something painful and it literally doesn't make any sense. um to try and look past it, even if you can't see anything, just to know that in I like this, for whatever reason, is happening for me to learn something, and I'm going to teach that. I'm going to turn around and teach this learning to someone else, so that someone else can benefit from my experience. And I think that when you're looking at it from that way, look at what you created, from high sugar, high acid, you've created, keto alkaline, and it only makes so much sense. And yet, had you not been in that state of suffering and pain and in that part of your journey, you may never have created this that is now helping thousands, if not hundreds of thousands and millions of people. So there's always some sense of purpose.
And it's the rub, right, Serena? Because
Yeah.
we never want to go through that. We never want anyone to go
No.
through that. And in the Bible, there's a verse that always stuck with me. And it was really hard to read for a long time, but it's that um, all things work for good for those who love Him. And really, all
Mm,
things work for good. Not all
hmm.
things are good. Not all
No.
things
Yes.
are good
Yes.
at
Agree.
all. But
Mhm.
like, is it, did it, um, was there a reason for this, or do we create a reason from this? Do we create
Mhm.
a purpose from this? And when we're connected to source, when we're shifting our physiology, when we are serving others and contributing
Mhm.
outside of ourselves to other people,
Mhm.
who we love, we care about, we don't even know, right? We're just
Mhm.
serving.
Yeah.
That that shift is, I mean, that's what living is about.
Yes, living is giving. It's
I like that.
having that impact on others, and just remembering that we're all in this together. We rise together, we go through the ebbs and flows together, and I think it's so beautiful what you're doing here, not just clearly as a physician, but with and your products and your books, but also with this podcast, and sharing stories that help to elevate the people in your community. And so I just want to say thank you for what it is that you do
Oh,
in that
thank you.
effort to like impact and give to your audience.
Well, likewise, you are attracting millions towards you, and I know you'll continue to just soar. And it just feels calming and relaxing to
Mm.
be with you here today on
Oh,
the Girlfriend
same.
Doctor
Yay!
Show. It really is. It's just a beautiful,
Yay!
beautiful time, beautiful episode. And will you share with our audience how they can learn more about you and tap into your resources?
Yeah, Yes, thank you so much for asking. I'm on. Well, I think it's the same on every one of our social platforms, but I'm mostly on Instagram, and that's Chef Serena Poon. And then you can also always go to my website, and that's serenaloves.com. So those are the two primary places that you can find all things that I do.
Which is pretty awesome. Chef Serena Poon, and also your podcast, your TV show.
Yes, yes. So I have a live streaming show that I do on Instagram, and then we kind of repurpose episodes everywhere. But it's just on Chef Serena Poon, and Dr. Anna is going to come on. I'm very excited to share your story with my community. So you guys will definitely have to catch that episode. But it's a lot of fun, and people seem to really enjoy everything that we talk about on the show.
I thank you for being here with me today, and I thank you for all the work you're doing. Well, I tell our audience definitely check out Chef Serena Poon at Instagram and her website, Serena Loves. And you guys, I want to hear your questions. I want you to start doing this practice of really bringing love
Hmm.
into your morning drink, your morning beverage, into your coffee, into your positive affirmations, into your
Hmm.
toothbrushing, and to
Yes.
really, yeah, bring that, bring this practice in. And it's like, Serena kind of planted a seed for me to just say, okay, in the shower, I need to like, spend longer time in the shower and do I need to really do that nourishing activity mentally as well as physically. And so yeah, so that's really beautiful. Thank you, Serena, for that.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me and just allowing me to share space here and sharing my story. And it was so much fun. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome. And for our audience, you guys see us on video at my YouTube channel at The Girlfriend Doctor, and be sure to subscribe and get notifications. You can put in comments there, and this podcast, share it everywhere you listen. Podcast Addict, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify. We are everywhere. And I look forward to connecting you. I love being your girlfriend doctor. So bye till next time. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel here and get those notifications, and comment below. Let me know your thoughts, what you loved, and what your action step is.